Hello friends, and welcome to Figure Study, where you would be forgiven for thinking that this is Cybertron Crumplezone, but this is, in fact, Galaxy Force Land Bullet. His name is Land Bullet. I love it. I did actually get my hands on Crumplezone once upon a time, by which I mean a few months ago. But I was looking at it as kind of like, well, there's a lot of little details that I think would look better if they were painted in a bit more. And, you know, could be a little more show accurate. And then I was looking around and realized that the Galaxy Force version of Crumplezone, in this case Land Bullet, actually has way more in terms of paint in places that I think really matters. Especially in vehicle mode. Like, this vehicle mode looks gorgeous in a weird, cartoony, goofy sort of way. Now, I don't have Crumplezone to make a direct comparison anymore, but there are a lot of little changes, like some different paint up here and different bits that are painted, and then along here you've got like green going all the way around the canopy instead of like a little bit in front and then some in back, and you've got more detailing going on down here. So it's overall a better paint scheme, but not in like an immense way. Like, it's not as drastic a difference as, say, whatever the alternate color that I don't remember the name of was for Crumplezone. The one that was like black and red and gold. Like, it's not that drastic, but I do like this paint scheme a little bit better because it's just a little bit more detailing here and there. But yes, Crumplezone, or Land Bullet. I'm just going to call him Land Bullet for the rest of the video because that's what he is. This is an interesting vehicle mode. I actually really, really like this vehicle mode. I kind of like the vehicle mode better than the robot mode. It's like this futuristic Cybertronian dragster, because you've got like a ton of car and engine in the back here. If you tilt it up, you can see this. Just proportionally speaking, there's way more back here than up here, and that's cool. But I also like how it's got like a three-wheeled thing where you've got the two rear wheels and then it kind of tapers in to meet in like the middle with the one wheel. The translucent blue wheels look great. The copper for the rims and little copper detailing throughout looks great. The light green on dark green looks great. The dark blue for the canopy looks great. It just looks great across the board. I really, really like this, and there's a lot of little detailing in there, which we'll also see in robot mode for the most part, but it looks good. They even did like texturing on the wheel, and you can kind of see it's not that easy to make out. Like, I'm only just noticing it now because of the lighting, but they actually painted the spokes of the front wheel in copper. That's pretty amazing. Like, they really didn't have to do that. But yeah, this vehicle mode looks great. It's a great combination of colors. The light green might be a little too neon for my taste, but I think it still works. But yeah, it's great. I keep saying great. He does have his cyber key gimmick, which does still work. And the batteries are still in there, so it'll still make sounds. I'm going to keep my hand up here to kind of catch these, mostly because if they come down, I don't want them like whacking into something and potentially scratching paint. But they will flip forward all the way, so there that goes. And yeah, the you don't have to push it in all the way for the mechanism to go off, but there you got the sounds, and here is the, I guess, attack mode or whatever this is, and I actually think this is probably the best version of the alt mode. These wings, they are a pain in the butt in robot mode, but here I think they work out well, and I really like the extra detail that's revealed when these turbines or whatever they are flip forward to make these cannons. Like these translucent blue bits on the tips there, which I think are meant to clip in. No, those don't clip in. Those are just kind of there. The added paint detailing in here, like there's a lot of detailing in here that they actually did paint or paint around, which is really cool. And also these pipes on the sides there. And this makes more sense in this mode because, you know, it looks like the exhausts are going this way, so it works better. And it kind of balances out the shape of the vehicle mode a little bit better, because now it's more of a overall squarish shape rather than all the mass being in the back. It's a shame that I'm not super into the robot mode, but we'll get to that when I get to the robot mode. I don't think the robot mode is bad. I just think the vehicle mode kind of outshines it. Anyway, let's clip that back, close that up, and get Land Bullet here ready for his size comparisons. So here he is with downshift, and funny enough, it's Cybertron and Cybertron. Technically Galaxy Force, but you know, they're the same overall toy line. So Crumplezone would be exactly this same size compared to downshift. And here you can see Land Bullet with the duck tank. And that is going to do it for the extremely nice vehicle mode. So let's get to that robot mode. And here we have Land Bullet, or Crumplezone, in robot mode, and I do like the way the robot mode looks, overall. And I actually really enjoy the transformation. I think it's kind of cool how the legs, which are the front of the vehicle, like hinge all the way back in order to meet up with the torso. So like, just the way that so much of it kind of flips up to make the front of the vehicle, and then it kind of shifts back down to completely change the profile. That's cool. The only thing that kind of bugs me about him really are the arms. Not just because they're these enormous brutish-looking arms, which normally doesn't really bother me, but here it's like he's got these extremely weedy biceps and then extremely bulky forearms, which is just kind of weird. But it also kind of bums me out because his elbows are kind of pathetic. That's his elbow, and it's like there's just so much arm down here. Ugh. But overall, like, the silhouette is nice. The kind of bulkier top with the smaller legs, it totally works for me. The color scheme works here too. I kind of, again, wish that the light green was a little bit less neon, but it's fine. And there is a little bit more paint that's visible in this mode versus with Crumplezone. Primarily, like what you kind of got with the feet, which were the front of the vehicle, the extra detailing in the torso, and I believe these bits here aren't painted on Crumplezone. I could be wrong. Like I said, I don't have the figure to do a comparison with anymore, but there's that. The other thing that kind of bugs me with him is these wing flaps just kind of get in the way, and there's no good place for them to go. I kind of wish that they could either fold in more or fold out more and kind of click in along the side to just kind of keep them from flopping around, because if you're trying to pose him, like, if they're in and you try to push the arms back, they're going to bump into the pylons on the back there. If they're just flopping out, they're kind of, you know, flopping out. I know I don't normally talk about posability. It's just little nitpicks that kind of bug me. But overall, he still looks pretty darn good. And he has this enormous pylon thing on his back, which is a bit of a shame, especially because these things are on a bit of a hair trigger. Like, it does not take much for me to bump them and for them to, like, come out of place and swing up. Kind of wish those locked in a little bit better. But you can have them come out and give him these big shoulder bazookas, which is cool, I guess. They're a little bit off-center on mine, and I don't really know how to address that. They're just slightly wonked. I don't know. But I'll just tuck those back in, and here you can see those arm flaps are getting in the way. As for the finer details, there is still a lot of nice sculpting here, which a lot of it was visible in the vehicle mode, but now you kind of see it from a different angle, and some new stuff is revealed because it doesn't have car bits over it. I actually really like the detailing in the knees. Those are nice and chunky looking. And there's some nice detailing in the thighs and midsection as well, though the shade of the plastic, it makes it kind of difficult to see. Same goes for like the midsection here along the ribs. There's detailing, it's just hard to see. But I do really like this canopy cockpit section of the vehicle coming down to form the torso. It's a really, really cool looking torso, and I like the color breakup here. The arms have a little bit of painted detail, some more non-painted detail, and then the forearms are just these big chunks of car with these bits showing. It is also a shame in my mind that the bicep sections have the screw holes facing out rather than facing in. Because the way this guy transforms, they really didn't need to be facing out. Because when he's in vehicle mode, things are kind of folded up and around, and it just... yeah, it's like they fold up this way and the screws are facing down, and that's fine, but like if they were facing up in vehicle mode, you wouldn't really... see, there it goes. If they were facing up in vehicle mode, you wouldn't really see them, so I kind of wish that they had just maybe swapped the biceps. I may end up doing that myself. I don't know if that's even a thing that would work. Because I don't know if they're like designed in a way that they have to be oriented the way they are, but it just seems like they could have done that. I am nitpicking. Like I said, I think this guy overall does look cool. And the head is kind of great. I really, really like the head. It's kind of this... it's sort of like what I would imagine an evil bulkhead would look like. Like evil animated bulkhead or something. The panel that is the head really needed to have a lock-in point because you can kind of push it further down than it needs to go, and looking down is kind of weird. I do wish that it kind of locked in and that the head could kind of come up a little bit on more of a neck, but you still get some motion there. I also think it's kind of fun. I'm just realizing this now, but you can totally open and close the jaw, kind of. By which I mean close the jaw over his nose. But you can kind of get a little bit of talking motion going there. The coloring is good too, with that dark green and light green, which always works well, and that copper for the face is great. I love that the lower jaw is the light green and the top of the head is the dark green. The only issue that I have with that is because the backpack behind his head is the same dark green, you kind of lose the head shape in there a little bit. It gets a little muddled. But yeah, overall, very cool. He's got light piping that doesn't really work that well, which is a shame. Kind of tempted I could go in there. Oh, no, it's pinned. Great. It's pinned, so I can't just pop his head off. That's awesome. Also, they painted the back of his thing. I guess that's because they painted all the way around on the face that's copper, but yeah. I wanted to take the head apart and paint the eyes, but I guess I won't be doing that since they pinned the head in and rather than screw it in, so well, whatever. Anyway, it sounds like I'm griping about this guy, but I don't mean to. As I said, I think he's actually pretty darn cool as a robot. There are just certain nitpicks that I have with regards to like posability and stuff that I do wish were a little bit better. Here he is with a deluxe, arguably technically from the same line, and he's way bigger and way bulkier. And here he is with the duck tank. And that is going to do it for Galaxy Force Land Bullet, or Cybertron Crumplezone. They're the same exact figure, just slightly different coloring, and a little bit more paint detailing in terms of Land Bullet here. I do really like this figure, I do. It's just, I like the vehicle mode way more than the robot mode. And the robot mode is fine. It's not even that I really mind it that much, it's just little things like the fact that his elbows are so high up on the arm, and the proportions on the arms are just a little weird. Like, I just wish that these were a little bulkier or these were a little bit thinner, and that the elbow was like maybe down here as opposed to way up there. It would also be nice if the backpack wasn't on such a hair trigger, but what can you do? Overall, like, it's the same exact figure, so unless the paint detailing is important to you, there's no real reason to pay more for the Galaxy Force version over the Cybertron version. But for me, since I'm stupidly meticulous like that, I did spring for the slightly more expensive Galaxy Force version, and I don't regret it. I do definitely like the color scheme here, and I think, as I said many times, he looks fantastic in vehicle mode. And he does look really good just standing there like this. In robot mode, it's just, little nitpicks. But overall, great figure. So what do you all think of Galaxy Force Land Bullet? Or Cybertron Crumplezone, whichever you prefer. I just love that his name is Land Bullet. It's so great. It makes me think of Tenacious D, even though I know that's not how the song goes. But every time I talk about him, I just think, with land bullets! Some of you may actually get that, I don't know. In terms of Crumplezone versus Land Bullet, which one do you think wins? I mean, I feel like in a objectively speaking, Crumplezone's probably better just because he's cheaper, and the amount of paint apps that are improved on Land Bullet really, I don't think, are enough to make it worth the cost, but everyone has their own take on that kind of thing. And for me, I personally think that the added paint apps were worth it. Do any of you out there love this mold? Do any of you out there hate this mold? Whatever your thoughts, feel free to chime in down below. I always enjoy hearing from you all. And while you're at it, also feel free to like, subscribe, or if you're feeling generous, you could also buy me a coffee. Any of those things would make me a happy Rob, and remember, art is more than meets the eye.